Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Matters. For over 11 years, the voice of real estate in Flagler County and Palm Coast, Florida. I'm Toby Tobin. I'm the publisher of GoToby.com. I'm a contributor to the Palm Coast Observer, and I'm also a Florida licensed realtor with Landmark Group at Compass. Co-host Anna Maria Long, who's also affiliated with the Home Builders Association, is in the studio with me today. Anna Maria.
Hi, Toby. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. We thank our sponsors. Our primary lead sponsor is Veranda Bay. Veranda Bay is a private developing community on lots and luxury homes on the Intracoastal Waterway with a Flagler Beach address, featuring custom homes by Olson Homes, AR Homes by Arthur Ruttenberg, ICI Homes, and Hulbert Homes. Newly opened sections feature homes also by Toll Brothers and Dreamfinders. So these are all high-end custom builders. If you want to learn more, visit their website. It's verandabay.com. And it's a very well-done website. I encourage you to go there. We're also sponsored by the Home Builders Association and by Hammock Community Church, the little church on A1A in the Hammock. Small enough to know you, but large enough to serve you, north of the toll bridge, a mile and a half north. It's got a message sign out front. You'll recognize it if you've been by there. It's not just for Hammockians like me. Many people cross the bridge. So far, September, we're just barely past mid-month. So these numbers don't mean an awful lot, but I'm going to give them to you anyway, because that's what I do. 122 homes month to date. Now we're recording this week on Friday early afternoon, so this is as of Friday morning. 122 homes sold, single-family homes through the Flagler County multiple listing service at 372.4K. That's versus a total of 221 homes last year. So we're probably going to come up a little short again on number of homes, but the price is holding really well. And I'm continually surprised by the fact that the price is holding. We seem to have two markets. The reason the price is holding, it's not going down, is because the number, or up for that matter, the reason it's holding constant is because buyers and sellers are pretty much equal in the market. The thing that's different is there aren't that many buyers or that many sellers, but they are equal. So the price is holding the same. There's a good support system at the lower end where if prices nudge down a little bit, the investor community comes in looking for rentals.
And they get those quickly.
Flippers.
So they're not sitting there encouraging the other houses to drop. Other house prices to drop.
Of the 122 homes that have been reported as sold, 6 of them were $250,000 or less. And of those 6, 3 were for cash, and they were only on the market median of 10 days. So that's really quick.
Fast.
Yeah, that's really fast. On the upper end of the market, the $1 million plus segment, there have been 8 of those that have closed this month already, which is a substantial number out of 122. 6 of those 8 were for cash, and they were 91 days on market, which is above the overall 60 days, but not that much. It was lower than it was last week.
And we seem to be recovering from that little lull that we had where the 250K and under and the 1 million up were starting to slow and lessen, even though we're working in really small numbers and margins anyway, and that the cash buyers are still holding strong as well.
There's probably the biggest difference between the housing market now and the housing market of the mid-2000s, when we had the humongous bubble bursting, is that there's a tremendous amount of cash on the sidelines.
Right.
And also another factor is that the existing home market has an awful lot of equity in it.
It does.
Yeah. So
And if you did try to get a loan, if you've had to try to get a loan recently, you know that you have to basically give your firstborn. They're not handing out loans to anyone.
Well, the mortgages qualification has really gotten tight.
Yeah, with good reason. And that's to avoid having a bubble burst.
Okay, there are 1,340 homes listed and 330 that are pending. The median price of the pending homes is $389.9, and so far month to date we're running the close price is 97% of the list price. So that indicates that over the next month or two going forward, the closing prices will continue to be pretty stable. The Gindex, that's a number that I invented several years ago. It's the ratio between the number of homes that are available on the market to the number of homes that are in the pending, under contract but not yet closed file. And a couple of months ago, that was 4.9 in July, and then it's down to 4.1. So that's a positive.
Going the right way.
Going the right way. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage interest rate is down to 6.13%. That's from Freddie Mac. And that's the lowest since 2022.
May I make an anecdotal note? So I'm a big Golden Girls fan. And I know that's silly because I'm the millennial here, but I'm a huge Golden Girls fan. And Blanche, who owned the house on Golden Girls, and the rest of the Golden Girls rented from her. So Golden Girls was in the 80s, and she made a joke on the show. You couldn't get me out of this house. I have a 7% mortgage rate.
That's interesting.
And I remember you've commented many times how the interest rates that we're experiencing now aren't actually high. They're
historically normal.
Right. And I feel like Golden Girls is a pretty common show that everyone watched either themselves, or if you're my age, maybe you watched it with a parent or grandparent. And it just caught my attention when she said, you couldn't get me out of this house for anything. I have a 7% interest rate.
That's interesting. Well, later in the show, we'll talk about change and, how change is inevitable. It's constant. You can't avoid it. And we'll talk about some of the repercussions of change in the housing market. So what's new on GoToby.com? Just posted this last week, the August summary, which is compares August single-family home sales stats to August a year ago. And I also have an interactive map, Google Map, that shows where all those homes are, so you can click on the pin and find out what the address is, what the sale price was, how many square feet the house had, and dollars per square foot, and then what subdivision. So you can look, see, is it Grand Haven or what. So it's an interesting map, interesting statistics. But I also, not with a map, but just numbers, I compare January through August last year versus January through August this year. And I think you'll be interested to see that the market is really over the last 2.5 years has been fairly stable, with the exception of the fact that days on market has risen, number of homes sold has gone down slightly, but the prices have just been solid.
Yeah.
You have month-to-month variations, but you don't have any real year-to-year or quarter-to-quarter variations.
Which is good. Everyone likes stability, whether they admit it or not. That's what everyone's always seeking in life.
Okay, well, let's transition from stability to change. How many times have we read on social media or heard during the public comments portion at city council or county commission meetings versions of, well, when I moved here, or the ITT plan was...
Every day.
I mean, it happens.
And sometimes I like to throw it back against them and be like, well, if we go back to when I moved here in 1990, then I wouldn't hear you saying when I moved here.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, we have. I mean, you were raised here,
I was, and now
um,
I'm raising my own.
and now you're raising your own here. I moved here in 2000, but a good number of the people that make that statement are recent arrivals. I mean,
Yeah,
they've been here 3 years, and they want to go back to what it was like 3 years
the
ago.
gate should have closed behind them.
Yeah. Anyway, change is not always kind, but it is inevitable, and it's not predictable either. Now, Shirley and I moved here in 2000. We built our quote final home unquote. It was a 2,450 square foot pool home in Grand Haven, and 11 years later, at the depth of the Great Recession, we downsized to a condo that was good size, 2,000 square feet. Some years later, Shirley was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and she entered a long-term care facility and is still there 2.5 years later. But I sold the condo, moved into a 55 plus community, a smaller square footage again. So I'm now in my third final home.
When we
And
make plans, God
yeah,
laughs.
yeah, I know. So anyhow, Shirley's now uh, late stage Alzheimer's. So I have little patience for those who think they can put a moratorium on change, because you can't. And if you think you can, look again into the photograph of your former self and go back to the mirror.
And maybe you'll like it, and maybe you won't.
But you'll have to recognize the
That it
difference.
is different.
It
It
is
is
different.
absolutely different. Look at your children, too, if you have children.
I
That's
do.
the easiest way for a
mhm.
person to recognize change.
Well, look at your great grandchildren. Oh, I'm sorry, I have them and you don't.
Just today in my Super Moms group chat, a picture from when our girls were, I think, 4 was sent. And I mean, you wouldn't recognize them today if you didn't know them. They're so tiny. And now they're tweens,
That's
whatever you call
changed.
them. My goodness.
So anyway, IT&T's vision really dates back to the early 1970s. So when people say IT had a vision, we should stick by it because. But
I don't think they really want that, though,
no, I don't.
because that plan would probably not be what they actually want.
Well, that plan has
It wouldn't work.
residential communities without sidewalks,
Mm-hmm.
without buried utilities,
Mm-hmm.
without curbs and gutters, uh, and
All the things that people
uh,
vocally say they don't want, and for understandable reasons.
and the layout precludes public transportation.
It does. It's very car dependent,
Mhm.
which we've learned now that is not
which
a
is
good thing.
which is why the walkability score is the walkability
We're
score
like
is so
in the
low.
negative.
Yeah, well, it's close to zero as you can get. But anyway, the median price for a house in the early 70s or 1970 was $23,000. Not necessarily in Palm Coast,
Mhm.
but this is a national number. And that was at the time approximately 4 times the average household income. Today, a home costs 8 times the average household income and typically requires 2 wage earners.
Well, if you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and stop having avocado toast, you'd probably be able to afford a house.
That's probably true. Did I miss a
Break.
break
Yeah.
sign? Yeah, okay.
We'll take an avocado toast break now.
Okay. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. Well, everybody, thanks for staying with us. Welcome back. This is the second half of Real Estate Matters, sponsored by Veranda Bay, the beautiful waterfront, intercoastal waterfront community developing in Flagler Beach. Now, earlier in the show, before the break, we were talking about change, and the direction I'm taking this is change has a tremendous impact on the housing market,
Mhm.
and that if you think the housing market and the way we deal with development, new construction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, should stay the way it was when you moved here. You're living a pipe dream. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen.
Because it doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Let's talk about why.
We're talking about how the cost of homes has gone up disproportionately with household income, requiring two wage earners. That really tremendously affects the way planners plan communities.
Yes.
You've got more commuters, got two people going for jobs each day instead of one, so there's more traffic, and it's got a lot of changes, a lot of social implications too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it requires, if you're parents, for example, it requires both parents to go to work, and then you have to spend part of that, the wage you earned on daycare potentially.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it's almost the whole paycheck. It's almost a marginal decision.
Sometimes you have twins, and it is more than a whole paycheck.
And then our behavior patterns change. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, recently, there have been some profound changes in the makeup of our population. And a recent study measured 4 different categories that they determined signal a society's maturity. And they looked at a specific age group. Are they still living with their parents? Yes or no? And yes would signal more
immaturity,
a higher level of maturity. Are they in the labor force? Are they married? And do they have children? So living with your parents, not working, not being married, not having children, you're not likely to be on the housing market.
Also, though, in previous decades, it was more common, as I understand it, I wasn't there, for women especially to live with their parents until they got married. Is that accurate?
I can't say I got married so young.
But that was going to be my next point also, though, was that people got married younger typically.
Yeah. Well,
so maybe it kind of mutes itself.
In 1975, 40% of that target age group, the target age group, by the way, was age 25 to 34. And 45% of that age group met all 4 criteria. They'd left home, they were in the job market, they were married with children.
Okay.
45%. By 2024, this has dropped to 21%. And then during that same period, the percentage of the overall population that fit into that age group decreased by 21%. So there are few people that are even in the potential household formation age group.
And if you're 25 to 34 and you're single and dating, you probably know this very well.
Yeah, right. So anyway,
just keep swiping left.
And these are only a few of the factors that affect the housing market, but change overall has a tremendous effect, and that's why future land use maps, and these are terms that you hear if you go to planning board meetings and city council meetings.
You might hear that called a flume.
Yeah, flume amendment, future land use map amendment. Zoning ordinances and land development codes have provisions in them to accommodate for amendments. And that's why they're periodically reviewed and revised. They're not cast in concrete like the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, so as we talked about last week, that when a development gets approved, that they're not going to necessarily get built tomorrow or even, start tomorrow. For example, the Del Webb community, it was originally approved over 20 years ago, if I recall.
About 20, yeah. I think
around 20 years ago.
2004, I think.
Yeah, it's 21 years ago. So
if you were born then, you're old enough to vote and drink.
That's right. So Del Webb can vote and drink now. Perfect. And so much has changed since that time. So it would be smart of government to allow for those amendments to come forward so that the community can create.
But they get the resistance from the voters.
Exactly. But with this information that we're trying to show and how much change occurs,
Mm-hmm.
that I think that maybe we could help explain why amendments are good, and that amendments are not there just to take a grab or to pull one over on someone, but
Mm-hmm.
they're there to adapt
They're not.
to the needs of the society.
They're not lining their pockets. They're trying. They're trying to keep their business afloat.
Correct. And
Yeah.
adapt to the needs of the society. If things change, then they're going to need their community to change with it.
No. One of the other things I wanted to comment on this week is the level of honesty at both on social media and people that sometimes make public comments at public meetings. And last week we talked about the new map I've got on the gotoby.com website. It's an interactive map that shows essentially all of the major developments, existing mature developments, all the way down to the ones that are not even coming out of the ground yet. They're still in the application stage. But there were at least 2 popular social media threads that were prompted by that map, and one of them had like 130 comments on it, so it was pretty popular. But I was able to identify one of the posters who was blaming growth for the increases in property taxes, and so I was able to find their records, public records. And
Free state of Florida.
Since purchasing their home in 2021, the just value, and that's a term used on the property appraiser's website, increased 39%, and that correlates to true market value. So the value of their home went up 39%, but during that same period, their property tax decreased 2%. Now, they didn't mention that when they were writing on social media,
and perhaps they don't know. I'll give the benefit of the doubt.
I think so. Maybe they're not being dishonest. Maybe they're just naive. And following.
I don't think the majority of people know
the herd mentality.
All of this information. Correct.
But they are the beneficiaries of the Save Our Homes portion of the Homestead Ordinance Act. And it places the burden of increasing cost of government disproportionately on newly arrived residents. That's your new neighbor.
Yeah, it does.
And so
thank your neighbor when they move in.
Growth does subsidize. So what is the single most critical factor facing the housing market going forward? And I would argue strongly that it's not growth. It's affordability.
I would agree with that.
And we'll explore that in future shows. But I just we got a couple little news items. The median monthly ownership cost of U.S. homeowners with a mortgage jumped to $2,035 last year, according to a new American Community Survey released by the Census Bureau. And that's up 7% from a year ago. In nominal dollars, and 26% increase from 2019, when the typical cost for mortgage holders was just $1,609. That's a little tidbit to take to bed tonight.
I'm above average, or I'm above median, I guess I can say. Unfortunately, that's something.
Okay, a quarter of all owned households in the United States paid either a condominium or a homeowners association fee in 2024. With 3 million facing hefty monthly charges of more than $500, according to a new U.S. Census Bureau survey.
And we know that number will continue to increase as municipalities do not take on new roads and new communities on their own.
So anyway, as a wrap up, our video podcast now is available on it's Real Estate Matters, which is the name of the show, can be found on gotoby.com. And on the navigation bar near the top of the page, just click on podcasts. You'll see the latest videos. If you have any questions or suggestions for Real Estate Matters or for the website itself, give me a call, 386-931-7124, or you can email me at toby@gotoby.com. I'm Toby Tobin, and I approve this show.